You are listening to Perfect English with Danny. Improve your English every day. Never stop learning. Welcome to a new episode from Perfect English with Danny. This week we will talk about the arts and literature. We will learn words that will help us talk in more details about arts and literature. That will be covered in 2 episodes, and in the 3rd episode of the week, I will read a story and discuss it with Joe so we can get to learn English and enjoy a good story at the same time. I've been trying different formats for the podcast over the past few weeks. I've gone all the way from having 2 episodes to 20 episodes every week, and I have changed episode types and themes to get to what works best for the podcast. I've even sent out a survey to learn about what my listeners think, what you think. I hope you are among the ones who participated in that survey. The result of all these trials and the survey is that the best way to go for Perfect English with Danny podcast is to have 3 episodes every week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We will have a theme every week, which we will focus on in the first 2 episodes, in which we are going to learn new vocabulary words in context with real-life examples, and we will keep translating our keywords into French, Spanish, Portuguese, German, Italian, and Arabic in the episodes, with the full translations into 62 languages in the description of the episodes. This has proved to be so useful to many listeners who find it easy to relate the new words we learn here to their own native languages. And to be honest, I'm enjoying it too, as I'm learning new words in different languages all the time. So the first 2 episodes of the week will be based on the theme we choose every week, and we will use the last episode of the week to enjoy a good story which may come from a short story, a novel, or a film. We will learn new things about the story, the language used, and the things we can figure out between the lines. I hope you find this model useful and fun enough for you to give me some of your time to listen to the podcast. I promise I will do my best to make the most of it. If you have any suggestions for the themes or any other things you would like to listen to in this podcast, you can visit the podcast page on my website, www.dannyballan.com, dannyballan.com, and send me your question. I always read questions and suggestions and reply as soon as I can. Sorry about this long introduction today. We have our theme for this week to talk about, so let's get to it. So, Joe, what do you think about when we say the arts? What are the arts for you?
Well, for me, anything creative you do is a kind of art. It can be done anywhere. In your boring office, you can be artistic if you like. In your daily routine, you can find ways to be creative and create some art.
I can't agree more. Art is all around us. All it takes is a bit of creativity and imagination.
Yes, that's right. But of course, when we talk about art in a formal sense, we have to be a little bit more specific.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, the arts can be divided into 3 main groups: literature, fine arts, and performing arts. When we say literature, what does that mean to you, Joe?
Well, literature for me is books, plays, or poems that people think are important and good.
Exactly. And thank you for saying that people think are important, not critics or the so-called elite.
No, definitely not. I mean, you look at some forms of so-called literature today, which is smeared all over the place with this nonsense, nothing to talk about, no theme, no story, no emotions, nothing. And it is all like the new emperor's new clothes.
What do you mean?
You remember the story of the new emperor's new clothes when the 2 fashion frauds came along and convinced the emperor that the clothes they're making are invisible to stupid people and people who are not fit for office, so nobody dared say that they couldn't see the clothes, including the emperor himself. I mean, who would do something that will prove he or she is stupid and not fit for office? That led to the emperor parading naked in front of his loyal subjects, who did not dare say he was naked as well, all because they didn't want to be stupid, and they even doubted themselves and their eyes, because the great emperor himself sees these clothes as great.
All until a little innocent child tells the emperor that he is naked.
Yeah, and that is the common reader, which every story, poem, or any other kind of literature should be written for. Not for the snobbish elite who would easily lie about the quality of a work to please someone else in power. If you think about it, most of the time, it feels like we are these loyal subjects that dare not say we do not like what we read, but we have already decided to like it before we even read it. We wouldn't want to be called stupid, you know.
I know what you mean. For me, if literature does not touch your heart in a clever but not superior way, and if it does not raise any questions in your mind, it is not genuine literature.
I agree. So our first word, literature, is literatura in Portuguese, literatura in Spanish, littérature in French, literatura in German, letteratura in Italian, and adab in Arabic.
It's pretty much the same in all European languages.
Yeah, that's right. Now, if we want to talk about what kind of writing is considered as literature, what do you think we have?
Well, we have novels, short stories, poetry, drama, and even biographies. These are all considered literature.
Well, let's start with novels. A novel is a long written story in which the characters and events are usually imaginary.
Yes, it is fictional, which means the details in the story do not have to be real, but most of the time believable. However, the key thing here is the length of the work, and that is the difference between a novel and a short story, for example. A novel is obviously longer.
How long should a story be to be called a novel?
Well, this is not exactly written in stone, but usually anything more than 50,000 words is called a novel. That is about 150 pages or more.
Okay. Any favorite novels?
Well, I love Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Well, that's a classic. I also love Dan Brown's novels, The Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, and Inferno. How about you, Joe?
Well, I like reading classic, but not as much as you do. Believe it or not, I like Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling.
Why wouldn't I believe that? I love Harry Potter.
You know, since it's supposed to be a novel series for teenagers, but I don't care, I love it anyway.
How about A Song of Ice and Fire by George Martin?
What Song of Ice and Fire?
Oh, it is known as Game of Thrones. Well, A Game of Thrones was actually one book in the series.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was just Game of Thrones. Well, to be honest, I loved the TV series, but I hated the books. The language he used in the books was a little bit too much. I could understand the English he used in his books, but he kept using big words unnecessarily. I felt it was a little superior from him to do that, and I don't like that kind of writing. But, that's my own opinion.
Well, I can't tell you what I think because I haven't read the books yet, but I agree with you about the TV series. I really like it.
So, our word here is novel. It is romance in Portuguese. It is novela in Spanish. It is roman in French. It is roman in German. It is romanzo in Italian. And it is riwaya in Arabic.
So, what about the other kinds of literature? Well, we know what novel means. We have drama, which is a play for the theater, television, radio, etc., usually a serious one, or we can use the word drama for plays in general.
And drama in English is drama in Portuguese. It is drama in Spanish. It is drame in French. It is drama in German. It is drama in Italian. And it is drama in Arabic. Well, this is one word that is almost the same in all languages.
And there is poetry as well, which is a kind of rhythmic, compressed language that uses figures of speech and imagery designed to appeal to our emotions and imagination.
Yeah, like Shakespeare's famous Sonnet 18. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date.
Yeah, that's one of the most beautiful poems of all time. Poetry is the most sophisticated type of literature, and it was the beginning of literature, actually.
Some say that literature began with poetry and will doubtless one day end with it.
Yeah, but the problem we have today with poetry is that everybody thinks he or she is a poet. And that doesn't bother me because you could be your own poet. You have the right to express yourself in any way you like, and people may love it and call you a poet. But the ugly thing starts when this same person who writes gibberish poetry starts to attack those who write poetry that still has some meaning, purpose, and feelings. They don't want to see this kind of poetry anymore. I wonder why.
It's easy. This kind of real poetry shows these clowns how pathetic their poems are. So if they can't beat it, they might as well try to kill it.
Yeah, you might be right. Anyway, I do respect all forms of human expression as long as it is real and honest.
So poetry is our word. It is poesia in Portuguese. It is poesia in Spanish. It is poésie in French. It is lyric in German, it is poesia in Italian, and it is شعر in Arabic.
Now, we said a biography is a kind of literature. Well, a biography is a book that tells what happened in someone's life, written by someone else. If it is written by the same person whose life is what the book's about, we call it autobiography.
So, biography is our word. In Portuguese, it is biografia. It is biografia in Spanish. It is biographie in French. It is biographie in German. It is biografia in Italian. And it is siratun dhatiya in Arabic.
We also have short stories, which are just like novels, but much shorter.
Yeah, and a short story is conto in Portuguese. It is cuento in Spanish. It is nouvelle in French. It's Kurzgeschichte in German, it is racconto in Italian, and it is قصة قصيرة in Arabic.
So, literature was one kind of the arts. We also have what we call the fine arts, which are forms of art, especially paintings and sculpture, that are produced and admired for their beauty and high quality.
Yes, fine art in English is Belas Artes in Portuguese. It is Bellas Artes in Spanish. It is Beaux-Arts in French. It is Bildende Kunst in German. It is Belle Arti in Italian. And it is Al-Funun al-Jamila in Arabic.
All right, the main types of fine arts are sculpture, painting, and architecture.
Well, sculpture is a work of art that is produced by carving or shaping stone, wood, clay, or other materials, like the famous works from the Renaissance period.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot think of sculpture and fail to mention Michelangelo and his masterpiece David, among other great sculptures.
Yeah, and from the modern era, there is also Auguste Rodin. I mean, you cannot be anything but mesmerized when you see his famous sculpture, The Thinker.
Yeah, that's such a great work of art.
So, sculpture in English is escultura in Portuguese, it is escultura in Spanish, it is sculpture in French, it is sculptura in German, it is scultura in Italian, and it is an-naht in Arabic.
Okay, so now we come to painting, which is simply the activity of painting pictures. Any favorite painters, Joe?
Yeah, I like Peter Paul Rubens, Da Vinci, and Botticelli.
Yes, the greatest painters of all time. I also love Gustav Klimt and René Magritte, among many others. Have you ever seen original paintings in a museum or some art gallery?
Well, yes, I saw the Mona Lisa by Da Vinci, Liberty Leading the People by Eugène Delacroix, and The Raft of the Medusa by Theodore Géricault, and a lot of other great works of art. What about you? Have you ever seen original masterpieces like these?
Well, just online. I haven't had the chance to see any yet, but I would love to visit the Louvre someday and see all those great works of art there.
You will be mesmerized all day long. It is breathtaking. So, our word here is painting. It is pintura in Portuguese. It is pintura in Spanish. It is la peinture in French. It is malerai in German. It is pittura in Italian, and it is الرسم in Arabic.
All right, we also have architecture as a type of fine arts. Architecture is the art of planning, designing, and constructing buildings. Besides that, the architecture of a building is the style in which it is designed and constructed.
Now, away from the fine arts, we can also use that for computer programs. It can be used with the meaning of structure as well.
That's right. However, since our theme is the arts and literature, we will be using it in this context. For example, we can say, almost every visitor to Edinburgh is seduced by its splendid architecture.
So our word is architecture. It's arquitectura in Portuguese. It is arquitectura in Spanish. It is architecture in French. It is architettura in German. It is architettura in Italian. And it is fannul amara in Arabic.
So that leaves us with the third type of art, which is performing arts. We have theater, dance, cinema, ballet, opera, concerts, and things like that. They are all called performing arts.
Have you ever been to a concert before?
Yeah, I have been to many concerts, but the one I will never forget is Luciano Pavarotti's concert. I love classical music and opera, and Pavarotti was my favorite opera singer. The concert tickets were very expensive. I remember I didn't have much money left for the rest of the month, but it was worth it. The concert was amazing.
I've been to a couple of concerts as well, but I'm not a big fan of opera and classical music. I like rock and pop more. I went to see the Scorpions live in concert, and it was wild. I was with my girlfriend, and we loved it.
So, our word is concert. How do we say that in other languages?
Well, a concert is concerto musical in Portuguese. It is concierto in Spanish. It is concert in French. It is concert in German. It is concerto in Italian. And it is حفلة موسيقية in Arabic.
So the arts as a word covers everything from literature to fine arts and performing arts.
Art as a singular, uncountable noun, like when we say this is art or something like that, usually means fine art, but can also refer to technique and creativity.
You can read the art pages in the paper, which is that part of the newspaper that deals with all the things we talked about from fine art to literature and performing arts.
If someone loves painting and sculpture so much, we can call him or her an art lover.
We can also use the word art to mean creative ability, like when we say Shakespeare was skilled in the art of poetry.
And if someone shows skill and imagination in creating things, we can call this person artistic. For example, ask Nicole to help you decorate your room. She's very artistic.
We also say a work of art or works of art, in plural, to refer to an object or objects made by a skilled artist, typically a painting or a statue.
We can also refer to the skill of making objects such as decorations, jewelry, and furniture as the phrase arts and crafts.
I guess that's good enough for today. We will continue next time with more about the arts, the artists, and literature. So stay tuned and don't miss out on the opportunity to learn more about the arts and literature.
We will be talking about sculptors, potters, architects, different kinds of painting, and more details about literature such as the word setting, plot, reviews, critics, publication, and more. So make sure to spare some time on your schedule for our next episode on Wednesday.
Thank you, Joe, and a big thanks to all our listeners for sticking with us in another episode from Perfect English with Danny. Don't forget that you can find the full transcript of this episode and the full translations into 62 languages, along with some interactive activities in the link that will take you to my website where you will find all these useful resources. Thanks again from Ben and me. Happy learning. We'll see you next time.